How are we doing? Yeah, I thought I would just. I was just streaming a little bit to Twitch, which was me wigging out on the Pulsar 23, which is there. Which I put a preview sort of stuff to come, and as I've got to know it, I've realised just how incredibly deep and varied it is. I mean, I think it's going to be around €1,500. That's what I understand. And it sounds like a lot of money for a 4-channel drum machine, but all of the individual modules in there would add up to a Eurorack system of much higher value. So I'll get onto that in a bit, but I just wanted to throw that up there. So that's coming out to you guys. I think I've rather foolishly switched the monitor on, and now it's flashing colours at me. Yeah, that's better. So YouTube should be live. Facebook will come on stream at the time of broadcast. But I was just playing around with some ideas, really. Because I'm reviewing the Pulsar 23. The Pulsar 23, like I said, has got this sort of amazing number of potential things. You can use, there's a loop recorder in each channel, 4 channels of loop recorder. Each with 4 banks of loops, which are just non-volatile, which are volatile, so they just go. But now but you can also just run it from a clock and a kind of chaos generator, which is the stuff on the side. And so you get these kind of it's like clock divisions and kind of weird chaotic CV sequences. So yeah, bonkers. So I might explain what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and play around with that a little bit. And the kick drum is just running from a clock pulse. And there's the chaos generator, which is driving the bassline modulation trigger and also the hi-hats thing, pitched hi-hat. And I'm running the sequence for the snare in the actual CV recorder. Does that make sense? So I might just do a little bit of that. Why the hell not? Let's see how it comes out. Sorry, hello. Whoops, beg your pardon. Sorry, I was monitoring on my speakers. Gosh, anyone would think I wasn't a sound engineer. Yeah, the crocodile clips, as somebody mentioned in the chat there. Yeah, it can get a bit kind of tangled up and messy, but it's sort of part of the charm of the chaotic nature of this thing, I would say. I would also say that it's just really good fun. I mean, like I say, I don't profess to be an expert at that kind of thing, but it encourages you to go there if you want to and try it out, and it's very performative, I would say. Yes. So, presumably, did you hear? Did that come through the actual? No, the drum machine. Did that come through? But what I was thinking about when I was doing a review is like there are so many ways to set it up that it might be like that would be one way you could use it. Another way there's another way to use it. Yeah, Pulsar comes in multiple colours. Germania 5000. I think you can have white, black, orange. There might be a green one. I can't remember. I'm not sure. But it's such good fun. And that synth voice, there's lots of pitch stuff you can get out of it. But I will say, it might seem expensive. These are just my initial observations. It might seem expensive, but when you look, there are so many modules that would be and are useful in modular world. If you added all of those up, it would come to way, way more than what this costs. And there's also this thing's built like a tank. But I get what you mean about the crocodile clips. Sometimes is a little bit kind of, you just end up with spaghetti. But I guess that's kind of the point. And you can use MIDI, so you can, if you want to trigger patterns that you've already created. But the fun of it is you can actually figure out ways to make patterns, which is kind of pretty interesting. Yeah, as Azia Head points out in the IRC, colour's not that important. I mean, if you don't like orange, get a black one. I mean, you'd have to wait a while though, because they are definitely back ordered. But it's a really good fun sounding instrument. I mean, that kick drum is massive. I have to try some more sort of slower, vibey things as well. But I just thought I wanted to try something that was a bit more kind of banging. Although I don't profess to be an expert on those things, and you probably all thought it was lame. So that's fine. But that was just for my personal fun, and I thought I'd share it with you. So yeah, what have we got today? We've got Gaz, we've got Yoad, and we've got Charles. So I hope you're all doing out there in lockdown land, and following the rules and being sensible and all of those things. We're getting into week 3 now here in the UK, which is, I'm lucky because I can come here because I'm on my own. So and it's quite hard for me to do this at home. So I'm following the directives until otherwise told. And I hardly see anybody ever. So I don't, apart from the car on the way in. Hopefully everything will be, improving as we continue to follow the directives. Let's have a look. I don't know how much delay there is on the system. I mean, I guess there might be some more latency than usual, just purely because lots of people are doing stuff on the internet. I mean, we're finding, as we film for our remote super boothy kind of thing, which I've got details of here, we're finding, the internet is variable. In case you're wondering, there might be some tips there if you might not be taking part in our event, but it might actually be useful to you if you are looking to stream to somebody or with somebody. There's some tips and tricks in there and a few links to sort of case scenarios. That's bit.ly/remote vid. And that document is there, and you can just kind of peruse it, and it'll be updated because every time we do a sound check with somebody else who's going to come in and do a remote video interview with us, their setup is slightly different. So every time we see something that's kind of like, oh, that's good, we try and write it down, and so that there's a bit more, it might fit one of your scenarios and all that. But yeah, for those of you who perhaps didn't only just tuned in, I was just messing around with the Pulsar 23. I've gone a bit early. It's only 20 to 4. I'll have to think of something to say for all this time. It's a great little system, and proving to be a lot more complex to review than I thought, because there's just so much to it. Okay, so how's everybody in the chat? We've got people in the IRC. Nice to see you all. And you folks on the YouTube chat as well. We've got loads of people. One thing about this is obviously we're getting more viewers because there's more of you around and not at work. So it means that there's more of you to view, which is always appreciated. We do appreciate an audience. And we've been getting lots of kind of support saying it's nice to have something normal to listen to, which we try. We do our best. Obviously, all the people who are participating in this are also going through their own kind of trials and tribulations as well. When can we expect the Pro 3 review? It's going to be some time. I mean, the problem I've got is I'm trying to organise all of these events of things, which is logistically quite complicated, and I just can't sit down in front of a synth for 3 or 4 days and learn a synth. So I'm trying to do, maybe I'll think of a way to do things in bite sizes or, you know, bits and pieces, but it will be coming. It's just normal service is not quite normal at the moment. What's the other thing? Is the fly fishing podcast still happening? Sadly not, actually, because the UK, they've closed all the waters and you're not able to actually go fishing. You know, we're limited to an hour of exercise a day out of the house. And we're not supposed to drive somewhere to exercise. So I think there's going to be, you know, whenever the lockdown stops, I'll definitely be going fishing. I'm so thoroughly looking forward to a bit of time outside and enjoying things. And I guess even if it's a gradual release of lockdown, as soon as it's able to go there, I'll go. But I expect the whole world will want to go as well. But we'll just have to see how it goes. We'll just have to play it by ear. It's the new normal, isn't it? That's what everybody's adjusting to. And I have mentioned a few times, and I'm not suggesting in any way that people don't watch the news and switch off. But I've spoken to a few people who are really suffering badly with sort of low-level anxiety or high-level anxiety, and just reducing the amount of news you consume really does help, because you're not just getting constant reinforcement of things that are not necessarily going to be helpful immediately to you, apart from to just make you more worried. So that's something I would recommend trying. Obviously, don't shut yourself off completely. You need to know what's going on, but you don't need to know what's going on 24/7. Joe Benson, this is why I want the show moved to late time in the evening because of work. Well, sadly, that means I would have to work in the evening, and my family and all our guests are already giving their time for nothing. Well, I get paid, obviously, but they don't. So I don't think we're going to be doing that, unfortunately. It would just mean too much out of the house. And I don't really like being out here on this industrial estate at night. All sorts of people hanging around, particularly this time. So, yeah, I'm not going to be doing that any later. I think we moved it from, it used to be at 3, and then we moved it from 4 to 4 because it was harder for people in the US to join. You know, it was a bit too early in the morning. I mean, as it stands, I think it's about 8 o'clock if you're on the West Coast. So, you know, that's quite early for some people, depending on on their stuff. Hey, good to see Ned Rush in the chat room. Don't forget, actually, Ned Rush has got an event. If you check his Facebook page, there's details of that. I think it's called More Kicks Than Friends or More Kicks Than Likes. I'm sure he can tell us in the chat room. Plug it, Ned, plug it. Let me see, what else have we got coming in? Yeah. Let's keep informed, basic info. Yes. I think people are agreeing that it's nice not to. It's better for your health, not to obsess about it, because you get a lot of what if scenarios, and what if scenarios are not really, unless you can personally do something about the what if. There seems to be little point in worrying about what if there's a nuclear war. Who's going to press the button? You know, just really, it's kind of largely irrelevant, that sort of information, I would say, and nothing that we could do anything about anyway. So. Anyway, I probably shouldn't go on about that too much. I'm catching up with a few tutorials. Yeah, I think people are I think the viewing figures seem to be going up a little bit from YouTube because there's more people at home. There's more people kind of doing stuff. Lots of people saying it's the first time they've ever been able to catch the live stream because they're either working from home or just at home. So, yeah. Let's have a look. Live stream of the president, I imagine. So, yes, I think lots of people kind of have their own ways of dealing with what they're going through at the moment. It's interesting. And one thing I have noticed about reducing the options that you have as a human, it makes things a bit easier to concentrate on. It also makes you more appreciative of things. I had just a brown bread sandwich with a slice of ham in it the other day, and I just thought, wow, that tastes so amazing. And normally I probably wouldn't stop and think how great that tasted, because it would be on my way somewhere, or I'd be eating it in a hurry. So the ability to be able to just sort of slow down a bit, hopefully will do us all good as a race. And we can get back on the case when the time comes, I'm sure. But it's nice to have a little bit of thinking time. I don't know if anyone saw the Thomas Dolby live stream. That was, I think he did a pajama party thing. I didn't watch it all, but thought that was good. And there's lots and lots of stuff around, and we try and cover some of it. But I mean, the other thing about us is obviously our news output's gone down a little bit because there's less news, or quite a lot. There's less news and less people, even though people maybe have more time to do it, we're thinking about other things. So, you'll have to bear with us. We try and do our video stuff. We've got some reviews in the pipeline. We've got some more content. I shot a couple of interesting pieces with Yoad remotely the other day, and some of our other contributors are gearing up for getting involved in stuff like that. So we'll have more things. And maybe it's just with it, I won't have to film all of it, or at least I'll film it in a sort of Sonic Talk way from other people. Excuse me. We seem to have a Yoad. Yep, there he is. Am I? I'm not. Oh, I think there's a bit of
1 1 2 1 2. Hey.
Yes.
Hey, hello.
Okay. You're. Let me just fix your hard left at the moment. So I need to.
Is that you or me?
Let me see.
Actually, my camera is set as normal.
Is it? Well, you're just coming in down the left-hand side.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it might be me.
I think it is,
1 2. I think it's working, but it's not. Let me just see. I can probably route it. There's all sorts of matrices. Headphones left. Yeah, there we go. I got it. I bust it mono. You don't have to do anything.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the picture, because I look kind of.
No,
on the
picture's
side.
all right. Picture seems normal. Here, anyway. We're a bit out of focus. We've got your focal point is somewhere. So if you could we could get that tightened up. Okay. That's it.
And also, I can move it back a little bit to the left, I think.
That's probably a little better. Yeah. That's a bit more in focus. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I didn't notice. I didn't notice these details. Everybody's hair's getting long. Your hair's getting long. Are you gonna have like a kind of Noah style beard at the end of all this? Do you think as well?
Yeah, I'm building an arc. I'm building a digital arc.
A digital arc. That's a good. That's a good one. Yeah.
With pairs of lefts and rights.
Excellent. So we have that. We've got Yoads in. I think we're going to have Gaz, and we're going to have Charles as well. So we're just wait. I know everybody's been working on their kind of home streaming setups a little bit. We shot couple of pieces with Yoad last week. I'm saving them for a kind of maybe when content is a little.
Day?
Well, not a rainy day. But just when we're struggling to produce stuff. I mean, because at the moment we've still got stuff coming out, but it was great, and we can trail that. That'll be coming along soon. Have a look. What have I got here? I need to get my focus in. Get my focus done. Just check myself there. I got that one and that one. I need to sharpen. I've got my sharpen. Yep. So maybe I just need to up that'll sort of work. We're all doing adjusty things. So that audio movers listen to thing we used. Yeah. Charles is raving about it, and I mentioned it to a few people. It's really, really useful. Actually, we'll talk about it in the show. But
thanks. I'm actually behind that idea, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
I looked for your name in the credits, but I didn't see it there. So you're more of a silent influencer in that one, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. Yes. So, yeah, I've been playing with the Pulsar 23. I mean, I'm not really a techno head, but I was sort of finding myself heading in that
I watched
direction.
that, but that's is that a recent video? I watched something. I watched that like a couple of months ago, haven't I?
No,
Or is that new?
I did this. I did a preview of the. A preview of. Let me see if I can find the shot. A preview of this maybe three weeks ago. Just say I've
Yeah,
got
man.
it.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
But I'm going to be doing. But the thing is, I mean, it's so deep and so complex and interoperable. It's really, really clever that
Yeah, it seems,
I'm
and it
struggling.
sounded good as well from what I heard.
Yeah, I mean it does. Yeah, and I did a little bit of stream earlier with which was more of a sort of techno-y vibe, running off clock divisions and weird, chaotic. It's got this kind of weird, chaotic kind of sample and hold engine, which has got a shift register in it that you can record data into so you can record a control voltage into this sample and hold thing as well. So as well as these four loop
Mm.
recorders, you've got so you could just kind of tap out rhythms and have it
Oh, I
run.
see, I see. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah. I get it.
really bonkers, very very clever. Actually, as well as everything else, I've just only recently discovered how it worked, but it's awesome, and it's very
I
simple.
watched last night. I watched your video about the Korg,
Oh yeah,
this tiny thing.
yeah.
That looks cool as well. Just as an effect unit, like it, because the effect sounded really good.
The effects are lovely. The only thing is, it's got auto power off, and you can't disable it. So if you're
Even
running
if
it,
you're on even if you're on USB or power supply.
no. And that I think that if there's a firmware thing, I'm sure it could be done in firmware, but it's got this auto power off, and I couldn't find any settings that did that. And that's going to be a real deal breaker for some people who want to run it as a.
Totally.
But it does. It sounds great, and also, I mean, to be honest, the internal voice has
Yeah, yeah,
got.
it sounded really good. I liked
It's
the shaping and the pulse width and the shaping. It sounded really good. And there was one type which sounded kind of FM-y as well.
yeah.
Not
There
only
is.
sync, but there was an actual. I don't know if it's how they achieved it. Maybe with an LFO or something like
I
a.
don't know. I mean, the it's weird because the weight of the thing, it's got a really good low end on the D2As,
Hmm.
but it's
Yeah.
also a bit noisy. So it's kind of this weird, I don't know quite how that happens. Maybe it's just,
I have the previous one, this tiny whatever
yeah.
it's called, which is cute. What I liked about it is that there's a gate on it because it's really, really noisy, especially when you plug it into the desk. It's really noisy, but then you hear that after a while
Oh,
it
it's got a
just
little
shuts
noise
off.
reduction. Ah, okay.
Yeah, no, just the gate.
Ah, okay. I got Gaz here. Let's see if we've got any audio from Gaz. Hey, Gaz, how you doing? I'd say no. That's not. Hello, Gaz. I don't know if he's actually.
Oh, hi.
There you are. Yeah, I was just
Can you hear
checking.
me okay?
I can. My God, first
I
time
can't hear you.
Catalina. Oh, you can't. That's not so good.
Let's have a look.
I'm definitely coming your way because Joad's hearing it, so it's got to be your end. You know what? I've spent
I'll
so
put it
much
back in
time.
again.
Okay, I spent so much time in sorting out people's remote streaming setups this week, and there's loads more to go because we're sound checking everybody for these kind of interviews that we're doing for Super
Hmm.
Booth at home. I'm beginning to I can understand almost anybody's setup now. Well, I hope I can anyway. It's quite so. I think maybe I could award myself some form of qualification at the end of all of this. Mind you, it's not sort of a job that I would like to do full time. It can be very frustrating because obviously you're dealing with people who are highly technically competent or people who are really not at all technically competent, and you've got to talk to them about basic stuff that you would hope they would have set up their end.
Well, at least you don't have to mention IRQs and things like that and PC addresses and stuff.
Not yet. No, I mean,
Yeah,
there's always time, I suppose. I suppose that sort of thing is gone, isn't it? I mean, that doesn't happen
yeah,
anymore in modern operating
yeah.
systems. So, yeah, that's very true. Okay, so I'm hoping that Charles, that's the only thing, because Charles didn't get an email from me earlier, and I wonder whether or not. Oh, okay. Okay, I've just got to send another link to Charles. 1 second. Right, so Chicky didn't get his URL. I don't know what's going on there, so I need to send it. Charles. Okay. Right. Just sent. There's all sorts of weird email stuff going on at the moment as well. I think they've increased security on a number of things. Like we've been trying to send emails out to, 30 people BCC'd on our communications to do with this show that we're doing, and we just started getting blocked, just all of a sudden. And it's like, well, I don't know how you're supposed to do it.
I had some experience with something that stopped working as usual as well. That is like. Forget what it was.
I'm seeing if I can now. I might have to paste this URL into WhatsApp. This is getting complicated. Crikey. Sent. So I have to do it from my phone. Oh man, this is talk links. So I need is that one. Let's see if I can do that. Copy URL. See if this will work. That might work. Goodness. So now I can't send Charles the link to the show, which is why he's not here yet. Hey, Gaz, are you working? No, you're not. Uh-oh. Catalina strikes again. Ah! There we have him. There's Charles. I don't know if you can hear me yet, Charles, but I can see you and I can hear you. Okay, that's cool. We'll just he can get himself while he gets himself sorted out. We'll wait for Gaz. Gaz has got a very blue light today. Yoad, you've got a kind of very pink light, and Charles has got a yellow light. I wonder if I need to. Let me have a look, see if there's some colour correction on you.
I can change mine.
No, it doesn't
Mine
matter.
is
It may be me. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, happy with that.
That's fine. No, it's just the contrast, that's all. Hey, Charles.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you. Just waiting for Gaz to... Gaz was here a minute ago and then he's gone. So I'm guessing he's in Catalina hell. Because it worked a minute ago. That's
okay.
Okay,
Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, I think you're coming through on your laptop mic.
Yeah, is that okay? Or I can
it's all right. It's a treated room. It'll work.
Yeah. Okay. Just get myself all set up here.
Gaz is motionless, so that's probably not here yet. Yeah, I was just saying I've been playing with the Pulsar 23. Man, that thing is fun.
Oh, wow. I haven't played with that.
Have you not? Hold on, I'll just give you a quick... While Gaz is setting up, let me... I don't know what it's going to...
Hey, Yoad.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, sir. Doing very well.
Yeah.
I guess...
Considered.
Like me, I hear that really well.
That's the sort of thing that you can get lost in.
Yes.
Absolutely lost in. And there are moments when it sounds good and moments like that when it doesn't sound so good.
Well, I'm just changing something around again.
Still waiting for Gaz. So, Charles, you didn't get either of those emails, or you did get one of... that's weird. Have you checked the spam folder?
I did, yeah. I don't know what the deal is. That said, on my studio account, I am starting to get a lot of spam suddenly, especially since the coronavirus stuff. So I shouldn't say that word, by the way. You might get demonetized if I say that word.
That's true. Yeah.
You might have to bleep that one out. But yeah, ever since that started happening, I now get like 50, 60 emails a day that are just, buy this filter, buy this germ killer, all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. So maybe they're kind of going into overdrive and just killing about half the email I get.
Yes. Okay. Still no Gaz. I'm guessing he might be rebooting Hell. That's probably what he's doing, I'd imagine, at the moment. So I might take. Well, we are due to go, but what I'll do is I'm going to leave the shot. I'm just going to step away for a second.
Right. Anyway, you had.
So,
I guess similar to me, you have your studio is accessible from your home. So
yeah, I'm very
it's not,
lucky.
Not been complete hell.
No,
and,
I know.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of work, which is great. Because I was really worried. I thought it would die off immediately, but I have change it.
Yeah, I do a lot of mixes as well because people are busy doing stuff, and it's good that I can help them basically finish their songs, at a time like this. Yeah. So I'm very lucky as well.
Yeah,
and just being healthy is nice.
Yes, there is that part.
Can I just check in with my sound?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi. We can hear you.
Welcome
I can
back.
even see you. But,
Yes.
Good. Okay, that's really cool. Just getting a few things sorted here. Everyone, both okay?
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so far.
Phew.
Aha.
How about you?
We have movement.
Yeah, all good. Yes. Very peculiar audio interface issue there, Nick.
Does we has Gaz?
Yes. Hello. Hi. All raring to go now. All good.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, let me just get everything lined up because we've got this guy. Okay. So, all right. So I think we can do our thing. So standing. Let me have to go to this one because otherwise I get
Do
weird.
your thing.
Do my thing. Okay. So standing by. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk, episode 614, recorded today, Wednesday, the 8th of April. This is kind of lockdown territory. We've all been kind of kept indoors for a long time, so we're endeavouring to bring you our usual Sonic Talk positivity and ways to, fill your time. Hopefully, we'll entertain you for the next hour or so. This is obviously a podcast to do with music production, music technology, live performing, software, hardware, synths, all the stuff that goes around music technology and creating music records. Do people make records anymore? Tracks? I don't know. Digital content. I know, whatever it is. Anyway, I also want to say thank you very much to our friends over at Isotope who will be providing a prize. If you are spending a lot of time working on those unfinished tunes, you might want to mix them, and Ozone 9 will certainly help you. Ozone 9 Advance is what's up for grabs. Be about halfway through the show. We'll do the little tease there, and you can stay tuned and join the competition. But in the meantime, let's say hello to a few of our guests. I seem to always go from right to left, so I'm going to go from left to right today. Gaz Williams, how are you there in Bristol? Bass player.
I'm normally last to be introduced.
I'm changing it all up.
I was nodding off. Yes. Well, firstly, I hope everyone's okay, and if you have been affected by this, then oh my goodness. But great to be together and great to be here. So thank you so much. I mean, but yeah, big love to everyone out there, though. Gosh, my goodness. I'm still finding it quite a stimulating time personally, just because of the enforced nature of it. And gosh, loads to talk about, isn't there? Really, I mean, I'm sure we're all having.
I do hope so.
Interesting.
Your mic's just. Can I just say? I think the gain on your mic is just a tiny bit hot. It's just burning up a little bit. Just maybe a couple of dibs, and then we'll be all right. But yeah.
Well, look. I'm actually talking to you through the Silver Bullet, the louder than liftoff Silver Bullet, and I can swap here between. This is an API preamp now, but I can just swap this. The gain stage. It's not an API. It's based on an API, I should say, and I can swap it to a Neve. Now I'm on Neve.
Oh, there was a difference, but you're also closer, so you got a bit more base proximity.
Do you think
is it Stan? You have to say, and now I'm on Neve.
No, I'm on Neve. I'm on Neve.
No,
I think
now I'm on Behringer. Now I'm on Neve. Yeah.
Neve and API though, it is Britain versus America a little bit, isn't it? So maybe it was kind of a little bit biased. Okay, so that's API. That's API talking in the API style, and now I'm flicking to the Neve. Now
slightly darker and warmer, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. But the API is much more transient, actually. So if you put mixes through it, which I've got a video of this coming for Sonicstate, so just this a little plug. But so what's the verdict then? API or Neve for today? API or Neve? Neve.
He gets the Neve. Okay.
Okay.
Neve vote. Okay, that's excellent. Well, thank you, guys. Yeah, and do stay tuned for the review of said unit. And we also have Mr. Yoad Nevo, who is there in Nevo Sound in London, where he's in lockdown, but his house and his studio are in the same building. So he can commute to work. I guess you can take the lift, or you can take the stairs, or you could abseil down the outside of the building. Whatever takes your fancy, right?
Exactly. I'm trying not to get to the outside of the building as much as possible, but yeah, I can get access to the studio, and this is really great, and I'm very grateful, and I feel very lucky that I've been able to continue working and developing some really serious and amazing stuff for Waves that we're working on. All Waves have been working from home since this is the 4th week. So since everyone has started to work from home, they've prepared it and everything, and it seems to, and we actually released 2 products while everyone was working from home, and it's amazing. And I spent many hours, on meetings, and it's very challenging and interesting, and it works. It works.
Yeah,
and it's great.
It definitely can be done,
really
can't
amazing.
it? It can be done.
Yeah,
absolutely, can be done.
absolutely.
I think the thing that we're finding, because we've got in our street, I don't know, it's probably happened in many streets around the world, is you get a WhatsApp group for kind of local residents, and so we've got to know the business of various other people, and a lot of people want to work from home, but in many cases, if it's sort of a governmental type of a department, it's a question of getting the laptop, because there aren't enough laptops for everybody to work at home, because usually they would have a pool of them that are available for people who are off ill or maternity leave, not like the entire workforce. So that's a bit of a challenge, and it's not a question if I've got a laptop you can borrow it, because it needs to be has to be installed with all the right stuff and security and whatnot. But definitely something to look out for. But nice to have you, Yoad, of course. I should actually mention we shot a couple of things with Yoad a couple of weeks back remotely, and it worked really well. I mean, hopefully we'll get to do some more, and they'll be coming along sometime. I'm sort of saving them for when we maybe haven't got, and what I'm saving when there's nothing better. That's not what I mean at all. I'm saving them for when there's a hole in the hole in the editorial schedule, so we don't get any gaps, I think is what I'm trying to say, but very poorly. Anyway, we also have Mr. Charles Chicky Reeves, who's there in a studio in London, where you're wearing a very fine synthesis t-shirt there, sine wave, square wave, sawtooth. Oh, what's the one below? That's a sort of, is that noise? That's like an impulse. That looks like a hi-hat.
Pulse wave. This is a shirt from, I can't remember who I got the shirt from. I got it while I was on tour. Some synth company gave it to us. But yeah, it's at least 3 of the basic waveforms of synthesis.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and similar to Noad, luckily my studio is in my sort of home compound, which is good. So I don't have to go outside much, although I have been going outside to run or to cycle, but never more than a pair. So I'll take my daughter out, my 13-year-old. But yeah, we've been getting out a little bit and then going and get provisions and so forth. But otherwise, spending all of the time here in the house, and I'm getting a lot of work done though. It's great. No, that's the wrong way to put it. It's not great, but it's workable. It's I can deal with it.
Yeah, it's interesting how, I mean, I think at the very beginning of this, I think I called it the new normal. And it's amazing how one forgets, I think, how adaptable the human race is to change. I mean, that you hear of people in, way worse situations that adapt to this kind of normality and just kind of just get along. And I suppose that's what's being tested. And we are capable of doing it. And it's probably something that doesn't come very often, certainly for, better off parts of the world. We don't have to deal with that kind of thing very often. It's probably good for us to just have a reminder of like, okay, you need to sort of, knuckle down and recalibrate every once in a while. And that's probably a good thing, I hope, at the very least. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on all of this business. What I was going to actually talk about, because one of the things that came up, we had two topics because when we did the shoot with Yoad, he used a piece of technology which is very useful called audio movers. Actually, I play a little bit of video, but this topic was really to do with useful things that help you work remotely. And we're not just talking about video conferencing, but there are other sort of little utilities and things that don't work. And this is called Audio Movers. It's Listen To. And this was a review on Pro Tools Expert. I'm just playing a bit of their video.
Hi guys, Dan Cooper here from Pro Tools Expert. And in this video, I want to show you this. This is Listen To by Audio Movers. Now, Listen To is a plugin that you put on, let's say, your master track in your DAW, Pro Tools in this case, and then you can use this to stream audio from your DAW to web browsers. So let me give you a typical application for this.
Right, it's quite a long-winded introduction, but that kind of covers most of it. So it's basically a plugin that contacts a remote streamer that you send a URL to somebody and you get this high quality stereo 24-bit in some cases, depending on the bandwidth, but quite low latency output from your DAW that you can give to other people. So for instance, if you're normally mixing with people in the room, you can send them this URL, they can hear it. When we did it with Yoad, he was outputting his desk and I was listening to it. It was it was about half a second later, but it means I can hear with more detail what was going on. And I know, Charles, you've been using it as well, and I recommended it to a friend, Ned Rush, who was trying to figure out a way to get quality audio from a stream when he was collaborating for a performance. And it just seemed really good. And it turns out that, you've started using it. What was been your experience first? We'll come to Yoad in a second.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. Okay, so my first setup was I had this laptop that I'm talking to you on connected to a Motu interface, and I had WhatsApp open on my phone next to my main studio computer right behind me, and I was talking in real time to the client, and this client I've been doing this mixing project with in LA, so I was talking to him in real time. And then I would play something and YouTube stream it to him to get the highest quality audio. YouTube stream it to him, and he would hear it about, well, it depends on how I set it up, somewhere between 10 and 40 seconds later. Which, when it's 20 seconds, it's workable. When it's 40 seconds, it's very unworkable because that extra 20 seconds just feels like an eternity. And then, of course, then I tried doing things like I would set up a mic so that he could hear me making commentary while something is happening, and I would do stuff like, say for instance, he would get up and go to the kitchen or something, and I think, okay, well, and I would just, because he's not there, without thinking, I would like maybe belch really loud or something. And then he'd come back later within the 20-second window, and suddenly he's like, "Whoa!" So it's like a slow-moving train that's just going to crash into something. You can't stop. What am I going to do? Cut the stream?
1970s transatlantic phone call. Yeah,
that's right. So that was great. The YouTube thing was great because I could show him like a live view of the screen, so he could see what I was doing. But then with the latency, we were like, it's just not that important for him to see what I'm doing, and more important what he's hearing. So you had spoken to Yoad about about Listen To, from Audio Movers, and then I thought, okay, well, I'll get, while I was in the middle of a session with him, and the latency was so much, I thought, okay, well, I'll give this a try and see how it works. And I got the plugin, installed it, went for the free 1 week trial or whatever, and within about 5 minutes, I went ahead and paid for like a year membership, because I was like, this is amazing. It was I was streaming to him. Initially, I was streaming 16-bit PMC or PCM, and then I set it for a 1 second latency, because I was afraid that anything higher it might crash it. And then he said, "Yeah, this is great. This is perfect." I go, "Let me try one thing," and I bumped up the latency to the smallest possible setting, and it worked periodically, just because it was just trying to stream so much audio, it would drop out occasionally. So I backed it off just a little bit, no problems for the rest of the session. It's been great. And this is a guy that normally, whenever he wants to mix a track, he'll be kind of a last minute thing. He'll say, "Hey, I want to do this track. Do you have any time?" And he'll try to fly over with his hard drive if he can. And now he doesn't have to spend that money to fly over, because he just needs to hear what I'm doing. That's it. And this certainly beats the old way of, people would send me tracks. I would mix something, send an MP3 or whatever back to them. They would sometime within a 3 to 10 hour time frame listen to it and make notes, then send that back. Usually a mix like for one song that I could normally do in about a day, I'd spend 3 or 4 studio days doing it. It was just, and I was not liking doing it, and I don't think the clients liked it at all. But since I switched over to first streaming and now this Audio Movers thing, my business is like every day. It's staying busy. It's staying booked. It's fantastic, and it works as a plugin. You just put on your master bus, or you can do what I've done for him is I do have a separate bus before my master bus. I put it on that because I also want to route in a microphone so I can, talk to him through the session. Because and also I haven't tried it yet. There's a version, or there's another plugin that's part of this where he could record vocals at his place while I'm playing the track back, and then it would print here as well.
Oh,
So
wow, okay.
I haven't figured out how to use it yet. I mean, I haven't had time because we've been busy mixing stuff, but there are a couple of vocal lines he wants to redo, so we're going to try doing it with that.
Because it means you can use his same mic and his same acoustic space and all that stuff. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I love it. It's changed everything.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, and this is a couple of years old, and it turns out you've got some kind of involvement in this, right, Yoad?
My good friend Igor Maximenko, who I've known for many years, and I've known him from working at Waves together for many years, and he's a great guy and a good friend. And there was a situation where he was in Kiev with some really excellent coders, and they were looking for stuff to do, and we sat down together and we threw a few ideas up in the air, and I thought that something like that would be really nice, because unfortunately we have to discover it at a time like that, how useful it actually is. But for me, I've been working remotely for many years, so that has been always something that I've missed, and that's how it came to be. And it's a really, really useful plugin, and it can transmit up to 32-bit PCM. So basically, it means that what you're hearing on your DAW, which is the mixer is 32-bit or 64-bit, but the audio runs at 32-bit floating point, and that's exactly what you're going to hear at the other end. So that's if your bandwidth allows it, and I never had any problems. I work at 32-bit, and it's always been fine, and it's solid. You can listen to it on your phone as well, which is very handy, because you don't have to be in front of a computer. You just log in from your browser on your phone, and you can listen with the headphones, so you can transmit it to. You can set up the number of people that can log in, so you can limit the number of people that log in. if you like. You can set a password.
It just seems like a very simple idea. I mean, this is the screen
very
here. I mean,
simple.
it is a pay.
Totally simple.
The plugin is free, right? But the service you pay for. So if you might need it for a week, you can pay it for a week or a month or a year. I think I'm right in that.
Yeah.
Gaz, I'm thinking, because you do a lot of mastering, don't you? I mean, it's like, you have people coming in and you might want to play because things like kind of how long's the gap between the tracks? Is the crossfade right?
Yeah.
You need to be there for that, because if you had to send an MP3 and people were listening to the entire album and then making notes, it would very much slow the cycle. You want it sort of done at the time, because if people are paying by the hour, for instance, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me think, obviously Steinberg, and we've talked about this recently on the show, Steinberg's VST Connect, something that they've brought out a number of years ago now to achieve similar goals, but deeper, actually, being able to do that full independent monitor mix and be able to, you can record it all with a fast preview, MP3 type preview, and then it'll record all of the, like maybe multi-track drum track off, and then upload once offline, once the
we've tried that, and it's just not really ready for prime time. This is a simple solution.
Well, right, that's it. So that incredibly sophisticated approach that Steinberg have taken, this just kind of cuts to the chase really for what you kind of need. So that's really handy. I'm waiting at the moment though on Steinberg are going to be releasing, hopefully, I mean, I know how things are, but hopefully releasing a new version of VST Studio Pass imminently. It's due out in April, so hopefully that's going to come sooner rather than later. And that is a free app. And it's to insert, rather than the more complicated thing of the VST Connect, this way just allows you to sort of insert a guest into your Cubase session. So again, similar, but I'm hopeful that that's going to be ready soon, because for precisely the reason that you said, but there is something though. I mean, if you've got the client there in real time and listening, it's, if you do a session for like, say, 8 hours, working unattended, those 8 hours can be spent, it will take, say, 8 hours to do an album, for instance. But those 8 hours can be spent in whatever order you like. But having these really intensive short sessions, I think can be, you'd probably be able to get a lot more done a lot quicker. So I wonder if that would actually impact on the price of what people would likely to. I
don't know, really. I mean, I suppose, yeah. Well, I guess the thing is you don't have to worry so much about the furniture or getting dressed or any of that kind of stuff.
Having special
being presentable
lactose intolerant people.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I get it. So, I mean, but for some people, this just seems like a useful solution, and for people who need to real time monitor what they're doing the other end, and it just seems like there are we've spoken about the real time collaboration stuff, which is sort of bi-directional, but this just seems like it's a very simple thing for. You're doing a mix, you can sort of be there in person without having to be there, and that's apt for this. I thought, really.
I was going to add that, like, one of the things that that has been happening so far is, the couple of people I've mostly been doing this with, they'll have it on, like, on the speakers that they always work on at home. So they'll just have the music going. If they're going about their day throughout their house, doing whatever they need to. I mean, we are on a lockdown, so it's not like they can get out that much anyway. But, they just always are having this music playing, and then they'll run in and go, "Oh, I love what you did. Do that. Do more of that."
Yeah.
So it does feel like they're right here. It's quite nice. But like Gaz said, you don't have to. I do, just so everyone knows, I do wear pants even during this. Pants in the American and in the British sense. No one, sorry, and no one's traipsing mud through the house. No one's, making a mess in my kitchen, or, a lot. And actually, there's not a lot of the kind of like filling in space, sort of chit chat. Like, because, for example, a lot of times, when I'm doing stuff, my back is unfortunately turned to the client who's sitting at the sofa, the back of the room. And so when I'm facing the computer and doing something, they'll say, "Oh, can you do this thing?" It's something really complicated. And I start doing it. And because there's silence in the room, they go, "So did you see that new James Bond trailer?" They just start talking to me about stuff. I'm like, wait, yeah, I did, but let me finish this. It's none of that silence.
It's interesting. So it changes the word, because I mean, we went through this transition once before, didn't we? With the kind of the lack of having to rewind tape anymore, and so we don't have to wait to go back to the first chorus to listen. It's all absolutely instantaneous. There's less time to digest. I think we've spoken about this before. So maybe what we're seeing now is this will sort of introduce another workflow paradigm shift in how much time is spent actually talking to your client or with people, which may or be a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's likely to actually change the topography of a session a little bit, because it
makes the time definitely a lot more efficient. That's how I'm seeing it. I'm not seeing it as being less personal, because the thing is, it actually focuses us in a better way, because there's such a need to be social, even from my end, it's such a need to be social when you're in the studio. But when you're like, when you're having a teleconference with someone, it's kind of like, let's get down to business. Let's do the work, It's great. I really love it, because I love the work.
Yeah.
I suppose the point I was trying to make, though, about like what you charge, or is it, I have a real problem with that side of things in general. So, if someone wants, like, say, some mix adjustments doing, if you do it in there, and actually those little adjustments could be done in a matter of about 5 minutes.
But if they come to your house, it's a sort of half a day or a couple of hours. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So
I know what you're saying.
I'm just wondering if it impacts on actually how much you would get paid for stuff.
No, because they want you. So, it's just maybe, I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could. I mean, if, I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, I suppose all of those things will change. Actually, there was something I did forget to put in while we're at it. And because we were talking about, and this is another thing that's come up, this notion that we are duty bound to use this time wisely and learn stuff. I mean, that's not necessarily the case at all. Don't feel like, I don't think everybody should feel under pressure to have a new skill at the end of all of this. It's really not, it's just, if you want, there's the opportunity there. And one of the things that has come up, I think Universal Audio announced their new Lunar DAW is now available for download. I think it's today or this week. I'm sure I saw it. And I totally forgot about it, so it's not in the topics, but that would be something that you'd need to learn, obviously. So that might be a time to spend. I don't know if anyone's downloaded it yet in the chat room, or whether they're likely to. Somebody mentioned it, and that's why it triggered my memory. But well worth checking out, and I'm sure that's going to require input, I'd imagine, as well, because it's a fresh, what do you call it? It's a green shoots of a DAW, I suppose, in some ways. Yeah,
looks like very promising. Studio One.
Looks very promising. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, well, cool. I hope so, because I know they've been putting a lot of time into it. Okay, right. I think what we'll do is we'll do the competition right now, because then we could get it out of the way and move on to another topic. This Isotope Ozone 9. I want to tell you about that.
Audio mastering. Ozone 9 brings balance to your mix with never-before-seen processing for low end, real-time instrument separation, and lightning-fast workflows powered by machine learning. Expect lower CPU usage and shorter startup times with Ozone 9 compared to Ozone 8. Experience fluid metering in a fully resizable environment that lets you track the most subtle details of your audio. Use more plugins at once, mix while you master without worrying about slowdowns or dropouts. And immerse yourself in a smooth, modern experience designed to keep you in your creative flow. As you can see, Ozone 9 is the fastest way to get your master off the ground. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos and head to iZotope.com to learn more about mixing and mastering, and to download your free trial of Ozone 9.
Indeed, you can, and we thoroughly recommend it, particularly if you're trying to finish stuff. I mean, why not? It could prove the ideal companion for you, and obviously you can get a free demo. We have got a competition for this week where you could win another copy of Isotope Ozone 9 Advanced, and I'm looking for the hashtag. I'm being topical this week. Mix in isolation and the hashtag Ozone 9. So if you tweet the hashtag Mix in Isolation, one word, and the hashtag Ozone 9 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc., then you will be entered for the competition draw next week. So that's the hashtag Mix in Isolation, the hashtag Ozone 9 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. We thank them for providing the prize this week. We've also got a winner from last week, and it's someone who's very got a synthy topic, a synthy name. They've got Arp Quadra, who is actually called Ward Andrew GM, and they're from Devon in England, which is not far away from us actually. So they tweeted the winning tweet. I suspect your best mix is a lot better than mine because I haven't got Ozone 9 yet. Well, you certainly have now. If you want to get in touch at Ward Andrew GM, then you can claim your copy of Isotope 9 Advance. Okay, so we got to another thing. This was something else that kind of came out, and let me see if I can find this, because this was my choice, and I know, Gaz, this is probably going to be a bit controversial because I discovered this on my own, and you were like, no, that was mine. I found it. And it was actually totally independently. This is I don't know if anyone's seen these. These are these little just sockets that you can plug in around the place, and it's got a remote control on/off. They're pretty good. They sometimes go a bit wonky, but it means, like, for instance, you can have speakers on button 1, mixer on, everything else on, cameras, lights, whatever. And we use it here. We've got a little white one, and the idea of this topic was really things in your studio that are maybe not the kind of the stars of the show, but are really you would find hard to live without. They could be just something as simple as an elastic band that you use to hold something in place, whatever it may be. And that was mine because it was nice and simple. It's called a remote socket adapter set, and it's like a little radio controlled thing, and you just click it and the lights go on or they go off, and it means that I can come in and I can switch on the speakers after the mixer's been on, so there's no bang, or I can, you can get smarter ones that have got sequences in them. You can get, fancy things, but these are quite affordable. They're only like $25 for kind of 5 channels of them, so it's quite handy. So I think we should probably come to you first, Gaz, because I'm curious to know, what your brace or single product is. You can, as much as you like, just the unsung hero, useful.
Well, I've similar to you. I'm using these ones now for the same purpose, but it comes with like a 4-way. And what's nice about that is, it's got no batteries in it, so it sort of just generates the click. I won't press it now because it'll.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was actually me who brought this topic up. And then you went and stole my thing. That's all right.
I put it in the notes, I'm sure.
So those things, I've got them dotted around now in my room for different sections. You just sort of press the big orange switch and it powers it up. So that's pretty cool. My Stream Deck is getting more and more useful.
That's the Elgato Stream Deck.
Stream Deck.
Let me just.
Yeah. We have talked about these before, but the Stream Deck is such a configurable, sort of useful device because it is essentially an addition to your QWERTY keyboard. So, but there's all sorts of plugins. You can get Philips Hue Light Control plugin for it now, so you can have so you can control your lighting from there as well. You can create all sorts of custom. You can make it absolutely as custom perfect to your own setup. So, for instance, when you're in your OS, there's like an OS level version, so it can be just like quick shortcuts for loading in. So I've got it on that level. I've got a whole bunch of things I can do. There's a little CPU meter as well. So one of those squares can just be, so you can constantly have a little.
CPU neat! Because we should point out that each of these little buttons.
Yeah, it's a
little screen. It's a little LCD cube, so you can monitor. You can set them. I mean, they haven't got high frame rates, but they can have moving images in them.
They can.
So that's why it's the visual feedback's really useful. They do different button versions, don't they?
Yeah, and you completely customize what's on the buttons. So, and there is a lot of presets for existing software, but really what you want to do is roll your sleeves up and just program custom things, because you can have embedded buttons within buttons. So you can have like a folder. So for instance, when I'm in Cubase, I've got like a views subfolder. So I hit the views folder and it takes me where I can configure workspaces and various things there. And then I can, then I can just zoom back. I can just zoom back out of that level back up to my main Cubase level. But if I was to click on my desktop, then it would become the desktop choices as well. So, and then if I loaded up another piece of software, boom, then whatever.
It's really, it is really handy. It is really handy.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a very good shout. And one thing, because we use vMix here, which is our main software, and there's a set that you can have for vMix where each of these little buttons would be a preview of like a little loop of frames of what the actual shot that you're switching is. It's really clever. So you can so it will show you the image that the camera. Yeah, you can have it integrate. And so for that sort of stuff, it's amazing. I mean, the little ones are actually very small. They look much bigger, but you have to get a 6 button and 9 button. Yeah,
the 50. There's a big one now as well, isn't there?
Yeah, start at about 100 quid, 120 quid or something, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not very expensive.
Yeah, not very expensive. Really useful. That's a good shout.
Yeah, and I think for me, because that is a new product format, and sort of, it's the way as I'm growing and learning new pieces of software, that thing's coming along for the ride as well. And I think before long it will be, an indispensable tool.
It's interesting. It's almost what Apple have done with this kind of touch bar, isn't it? What they've tried to do, but it's actually. Yeah. It's better because it's separate from it. I mean, the touch bar. I mean, I've got it here. I hardly ever use it. I mean, I've got a little widget that I can create little buttons that I sometimes use, but I haven't really used it very much. I mean, I think it can show things like for scrolling arrangements, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But you see, the Stream Deck, you can just use it as a remote for your DAW wherever you are in the room as well. So you can have it all with all your transport controls on. Have it as
it needs to be. It is wired though, isn't
it? Albeit wired.
It's a USB connection. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, Yoad, I mean, there's so many things in your room. What are you going to put forward for the sort of indispensable doodah?
I would say, like the both of you before, that the remote socket switches. This is what I have all around the studio here, and I use it. It runs on Wi-Fi, so I can do it actually from wherever I am in the world, which is nice. And I've happened to actually use it because sometimes I print stuff through the desk and I need certain pieces of gear on the rack to be switched on. So
wow.
I have 6 racks here, and each couple is wired to one socket, and then I have 3 racks of synths, and each one. And the speakers, the back speakers, and stuff like that. So that's very, very handy. The other thing, which is not for everybody, but people who work with Macs and PCs, is this little thing called Synergy. And what it allows me to do is it's a KVM switch, basically, but a virtual one. So at the moment, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm moving stuff on the Mac. If I just move to the right, now I'm actually on the PC without doing anything. And my keyboard, if you can see, my keyboard is not connected to the PC. I just move the mouse here, and now it's connected to the Mac.
Wow!
So that's a seamless. That's cool. Amazing because, So now I'm on the PC. Now I'm on the Mac, and all I have to do is move the mouse. It's like a secondary screen. So that's really, really handy. The other thing is similar to what Gaz was talking about, only it's in soft kind of version, which means it's basically a macro utility. I use Keyboard Maestro, but there are many other ones that work. And what I do with that is that I set 10 compressors to Alt 1 through to 0 on Insert 2, and 10 EQs with Control 1 to 0 on Insert 3. So then when I mix, I just select the EQ, like I think about the EQ that I want, and I just type 6, for instance, and that will be the Neve EQ, the Neve compressor, and then I type 1, it will be the control 1, it will be the SSL channel. So very quickly I can populate the inserts, and then I have command 1 through to 8 is the auxiliary sends. So I basically populate, because the one thing that I find very, very annoying, and this is a nice lead to the next topic maybe, is having to insert and basically populate your channels, which is really annoying. But with that, I just go, okay, it's a guitar track, compressor, EQ, done. And then, which is maybe another thing that is worth mentioning, is this big knob.
Oh, that's the, I remember. We talked about that, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a knob that allows you to hover above any parameter, and it will move.
Did we, were we...
Oops.
Oh,
I think
we
Nick
lost
is
Nick.
frozen.
Nick is frozen. We're still live.
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah,
Get the tap dancing routine on.
that's
Keep
my
talking,
take
Rod.
on it. Yeah, okay, I'll keep talking. The other thing which I find very useful is this Neve desk. It's a it's a nice little tool that helps around the house, and especially when you want to chop your salad really, really thin.
Yes. Get 2 just in case.
Yeah. What else do I find useful?
Hello, am I back? Hello, 1, 2.
you're back.
Yeah, sorry, that's weird, isn't it? I did freeze. That's the first time that's ever happened. How bizarre. That's great. I was just going to ask you. Yeah, were you on one of the first Sonic Talks where we were talking about that, and you actually bought that knob as a result of us talking about it? I just was curious.
Probably.
Excellent.
But I remember us talking about this one after I got it. Love it. The nice thing, another nice thing that it has is an undo feature. So if you double tap the knob,
It'll just undo what? Okay, that's neat.
it gives
That's
you an
very
undo
neat.
for the last mouse tweak, basically.
What is it called again, Yoed, please?
It's called
What did we call? I remember what it was. It was
NAC. What's it called? Wow, I can't see here. Something. It's
I do
knob,
remember.
which is spelled. It's NOB.
Oh,
Something.
a knob, isn't it? Yeah, knob controller. I do remember that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I use one.
It's a little bit pricey, but
Yeah,
I use it. I use it a lot, and it's really nice because what I find with other controllers is that you have to look at the button at the control you're moving, then you look at the screen, and then you look at the mouse. So and with this you just hover above a parameter, and it will just
Yeah, that was it.
yeah.
Is
I
that
remember
using
that.
like basically a mouse wheel, I suppose?
But what it is, it's actually a mouse wheel. That's all
Yeah.
it is. It's a mouse
Yeah,
scroll.
yeah.
But it's just really handy, and I have it just
Because you've
here,
got
so
the Steinberg were one of the first people to have that sort of whatever the mouse is over knob, didn't they?
Yeah, and that would be like called the AI. So you press the AI button.
The only difference with this is that it doesn't work as a scroll wheel. It works as a HUI HUI or controller protocol, so it works only on their plugins through in Cubase. Whereas this one, you can scroll with it in Finder and anything on the Mac.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's a. However, this one, in its fairness, because if you can pick these up cheap, I suppose, really you do need to be a Cubase user. But one thing that is actually super cool on it, though, is the lock feature. So when you find a parameter that you want to adjust, you lock it, and then you can go away from that, and then it'll just it'll
stay. That's a good one.
Until you unlocked it. But
okay.
Yeah.
There's some great ones in there. I'm like Charles. The pressure's on now. You got to top all of those because there were some great ones in there.
Well, let's see. Okay, well, I'm the same with the the switches. I got them all over the
power
place.
switch,
They control all the lights. They control all the speakers. I have separate switches for any valve gear, especially any valve gear that runs on American Power, because about half of my stuff still runs on American Power because I've had it for so long. Let's see. Wow, what do I? Well, I think I mentioned this once before on the show, and that is, I wonder if I can show you this. So this is kind of a. Bear with me while I move some crucial lighting here, and I'm going to turn over to these IKEA shoe shelves. Man, I love these things. These things are great, and they happen to fit synths. And you can just build them anywhere. You don't have to spend a fortune. I think they're 110 centimeters wide generally, and they're floor-to-ceiling poles. Excuse me. And it's where that was my main stacking of keyboard stuff. I do have one of.
I'm trying to find it because I think they changed the. Is it this one? Is it called El Valle?
Yeah, that's it.
But that's only 80 by 36. You see, they've changed the size. So I think the range. I agree. I have a dim recollection that we mourned the passing of that product range for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I use the I use the Jasper stuff now because at least it's on wheels and everything. But I do like the IKEA ones, and I'm sure you could probably find them.
There's probably a roaring trade in black market IKEA stuff.
This is a cool little IKEA.
Those
thing.
are cool. Yeah.
That slides onto like a tabletop and then gives you like a little drawer that you can attach onto any surface. So my little synth corner there, I've got a few of these with the necessary, oddities and cables and stuff. But it's the fact that that it can add on drawers. I'm sure loads of you know these anyway, but
I haven't seen those. What is it? It's like a 1 centimeter, or what's the diameter on the hook?
Hang on.
Oh, you don't have to measure. I'm just curious.
Okay. While we're on the subject of IKEA stuff, I just sort of dashed off to pick up the my other one here. Sorry, what?
2 centimeters.
Oh, that's good. So it's almost
2 centimeters.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, the other thing, we're on IKEA stuff. Don't forget the little laptop stand. You could get big ones and little ones of these, and these are really useful if you shoot video and just for having something behind something else. They're about £1. Not that we can go to IKEA at the moment, obviously, but think of the joy you can have when we're allowed to go to IKEA again. It's going to be fantastic. You'll be able to buy loads of plastic. The stuff.
Loads of single-use plastic.
Yeah, well, it's not single-use plastic. Actually gets used quite a lot. And I know that I get a lot of flack. Well, generally, this show gets a lot of flack for being anti-Behringer, which we're not really. I think you should go back and listen. But Behringer make a load of really useful stuff. In fact, what we did the other day. Where's I'm looking for my. I don't think we can see it here. But right here, I've got an X32, and the other day I swapped out the ADAT card for a USB card, which means that all the audio can go in and out. And that was I think it was about £80, and that's 32 I/O it'll give me on that. So I'll get 32 I/O over USB on the X32, which I think is a fantastic piece of equipment. And the wing mixer looks really good, although it's a bit bigger. I don't know if it's quite so immediately user friendly because it's so much more configurable. But and they do loads of other really useful little things. One thing that we also have here, I don't know if I can show this. I probably no HDMI splitters. About a tenner. About a tenner. Let me see if I can find one of those. This is while we're on the subject.
Oh, good.
Oh, he's gone again.
He's gone again. On camera, he's gone.
Now he's back. If you need to do a load of, if you've got screens and you want to mirror them about the place, it can be a real pain. But we use these things, which are just tiny. These aren't 4K. I think you can get 4K ones. It's just one in, two out, and it's powered via 5 volts, so you can usually run it off a USB power supply. We got them all over the place because we have screens duplicated everywhere. They're about a tenner, and that's really useful just for splitting one into two HDMI. And one thing they also do is they strip out HDCP, which is kind of useful sometimes if you need to get something from, like if you want to get a laptop into a capture system, quite often the HDMI out of that will have HDCP, which is copy protect, and that'll strip this out, because if you're, if you just want to do a screencast, you're not actually trying to copy Netflix movies or anything like that, which we obviously don't condone, then you can use one of these and it'll strip off the HDCP as well.
This one, Nick, this is
oh, what we got there? The little cable tester.
Cable tester. I mean, this is a Behringer one. I think it's a clone of another one. So, but there's lots of different ones available. But I got to say, I mean, I've only had this about maybe a year, and I wish I'd have had one for the last 30 years. But the thing that makes these things indispensable is the intermittent lights. So you can plug pretty much any cable to any cable. You've got MIDI on the sides here. But the intermittent light, you make the connection and it's all fine. If you just give the cable a little shake and then the intermittent lights light up.
Ah, that's handy.
That is good.
Those really annoying leads that sometimes, do they work? Oh, it's working, It's working. I'm sure it didn't. And then that can detect it with that intermittent fault. So, and that's about 15 quid. Oh my goodness, I should have had one years ago.
Yeah, well, I used to use that sort of thing for live. Well, I didn't actually, but when I was a live engineer, there was nothing. The only things that you could buy like that were really expensive, and I started to specify this little box because my lodger was a electronics engineer, and I wanted to get it made. I wanted to do all of that stuff, but also have like a sine sweep that just did a readout, so that I could plug it into the PA and just go doop up it and go, oh, hold on, that frequency just popped out, tweak the graphic, but I never got around to making it.
These two have test tones in them as well.
Ah, okay. All right, that's cool. Nice. Anyway, I just wanted to put a word in for B there, because they're still releasing endless videos on, I think that at the moment they're doing the system. It's the Moog kind of clone modules, isn't it? They're doing a whole load of those, and there's like almost one every day. So pretty soon you'll be able to make a system, whatever it is, out of their stuff once it all gets to the market. I mean, I imagine like everybody else is struggling with manufacture and distribution, but everything's going to pause for a little while. But then there'll be this huge outpouring of acquisition, maybe, and all the things that, rather than making these kind of rash purchases that one is wont to do because you can, it'd be like saving your pocket money and thinking about what you need, and you'd be going, I really want to get one of those, and I really want, rather than all of it. Anyway, that's just maybe that's something else that'll happen. I know, yeah, but as your Amazon delivery guy stopped sending you Christmas cards because you're not using him as much at the moment, or are you still kind of?
Well, I use it for other stuff. I bought this kind of salad chopper, which I'm really proud of. So there's
other things. Yeah, that's true. There are other things. That's very true.
But no, I did buy something small. But it's like all those cables and all those adapters and things like that. Which,
oh God, yeah.
You suddenly need I have to say that my studio is pretty tidy.
Gosh, I've just realised we're getting nearly to 5 o'clock. I can't believe that we've been going for so long. But it's easy how we can find stuff to talk about when we've got the right topic. So good choice there, Gaz.
Yeah. Nick, can I add one thing in real quick?
Oh yeah.
Just to touch on something that you did say earlier, which I think is really important to get across, is there are so many videos right now out on YouTube about how to be productive during this time, and learn new skills. And I think a lot of people, I'm very much a person I'm very driven. I'm constantly trying to learn stuff, but I'm also I'm not like a self-abuser, and I think a lot of people feel so much pressure because of this downtime that they have to come out of this like knowing Sanskrit, or they gotta learn some new skill. There's all this pressure, and I think maybe some of this time, if you look at it from a larger perspective, some of this time is because maybe we need some downtime. Maybe we need to not be so hard on ourselves about trying to learn some obscure skill, or even just some basic skill. Just maybe it's important for us to take a break and be okay with that.
That's true.
I guess I'm saying, because I just don't want people to feel like, here we are talking about all these things that we're doing and getting, and I'm even talking about my own business doing really well. But the thing is maybe that's just not for everybody. Maybe some people just need the time off, and that's absolutely okay.
I think that's a very good point. A very good point, actually, Chicky. Yeah, very good point. Did we want to get I know, Gerard, you were talking about there were a couple of things that we were going to quickly mention. Certainly, first of all, have I got a video for this? Oh yeah, Ableton Live now has Console 1, which is actually quite a big deal.
Live is now fully compatible with Console 1.
I mean, that's all you need to know, really, isn't it? I mean, because basically Console 1, the thing about Console 1 is it communicates into plugin-wise, and you can basically control each plugin on each thing. So it works with Ableton Live. That's a good one. And that was... Oh, hold on, that's a big one. I'm getting a phone call now. I have to answer because you never know what it might be. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, so Chuck's over, Nick. So this looks quite interesting. I think that the Console 1 ecosystem is growing, and now so to be able for it to be fully integrated into Live now, I'm not sure. Are we talking about, is it actually, when it's compatible with Live, are we talking about it actually being able to be mapped directly to Ableton plugins?
Well, now you got me because I didn't play the whole video, did I? So, I'm not sure. I mean, because Console 1 traditionally works with the Console 1 enabled stuff. It's not so much for a generic controller. That's not its superpower, really. So
I should have researched this one.
Yeah, so that doesn't really work that way. But I thought that was kind of worth mentioning because it's actually quite a big deal. So there must be something afoot on the API interconnectivity front. I don't know whether that's the case or not. I mean, I don't know how many of us use Console 1. I know Rich Hilton's a big convert to Console 1, and lots of people are really digging it. Sorry.
I've used it, and it's a really, really good experience. It's a really nice experience. The sound of the plugins is really good, but there's something about the way you tweak the knob and hearing the sound. I know every controller does it, but there's something about that just feels right, and it feels like something you would want to use on a lot of channels. It's a really nice experience, and I'm glad that it works on Live. Not that I use Live, I mainly use Logic and Pro Tools for mixing, but I know that a lot of Ableton Live users will be very, very pleased with that.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, I suppose, I don't know, Chicky, I don't know whether... Do you often mix, like, traditionally wise in Ableton Live? I mean, it's more... You'd more be working on the arrangement, right?
Yeah, I create and arrange, so forth, in Ableton Live, but I mix pretty much in Pro Tools and Studio One. And these days, it's mostly Studio One. But I do love Ableton Live, and I have put out mixes from Ableton Live. I'm not totally convinced on how the gain structuring works in it and the metering, and whereas I know how the metering works in Pro Tools and Studio One. That's the only reason why.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
But I do love Ableton Live, and I have used the Console 1, so the fact that it's integrated with Ableton Live now, that's fantastic. I would definitely use that.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I mean, I think obviously the other thing that Ableton Live we'd like to see is MPE support, please. That would be that's the one last thing. Well, I'm sure other power users probably have other major requests as well. But
preferences, key commands.
Yes.
Commands stored. That's the reason I love Ableton Live. The reason I don't use it is because you can't store your key commands as preferences, and I use key commands all the time. And the fact that you can only work, so if you can set a template song and save it and start from that every time, and then you can store the key commands with that. But if you get other people's sessions and stuff like that, then I would be lost without my key commands. On Pro Tools and Logic, I use them all the time.
It's work for. Do you actually? That's a question. This is the one thing about being able to do a custom key commands. Obviously, do you try and make them comparable across platforms? So you kind of go, yeah,
kind of. I have the key commands I use are a bit from some are from Pro Tools default, because on Pro Tools you can't change them. So I have a combination of stuff which I use on Logic, which is my main platform, but on Cubase I set the same key commands. Some of them are compatible with Pro Tools as well. But in Ableton Live you can set up key commands, but it's per session and it's not saved with your preferences, and that's for me is a big problem.
That's got to be a pretty easy XML import thing. I mean, that can't be hard to do, I'd imagine. You just sort of say every time I load, use these default key commands, surely, or not. I mean, I'm sure there's a that would be an easy thing to do. We should, at the very least, I don't know if we'll get on to the other Softube one, but we should certainly say happy birthday to Dave Smith, I think, because he was 70 last week, and I think, was it, I can't forget which.
Happy birthday, Dave. Thank you for all the amazing instruments and inspiration.
And there was this great video of just loads and loads of people kind of just doing birthday messages. I was a bit disappointed that I didn't get asked, actually. I'd love to have done one, because Dave Smith is a great guy.
Yeah.
But there are tons and tons and tons and tons of people all saying the same thing. So yes, happy birthday, Dave Smith, 70 years old. I think I've probably first interviewed him maybe 15, 20 years ago. And he always struck me as a really nice guy. I mean, still is a really nice guy. I'm just obviously not going to be able to see him in person until we get through all of this business. But yeah, it's kind of amazing when you think suddenly from being Dave around the place, he's now the 70-year-old Dave, which is only a number, but it kind of puts him in the sort of elder statesman category, which I'm sure he must hate.
I did that when I did the interview for the Meet the Makers Extra from Superbooth last year. I didn't want to ask him about equipment at all, so I was just asking him about his music taste, and I made a huge error in that. I was really keen to ask him about all the stuff that was going on in the 1970s. I'm like obviously 70s mad, and we got to the end of the interview, and he had all these wonderful stories, and then he said, "But you didn't ask me about modern music." And I was like, oh no. And it turns out he is a massive gig. He goes to, well, I mean, he won't be at the moment, but has been going to gigs like all the time, because bands coming through San Francisco all the time would be putting him on a guest list, so he'd be going to all these gigs. And he was right. He was up on so much of the kind of cool and hip music. And I was like, this guy is amazing. I mean, he was obviously 69 at the time, but his finger was so on the pulse of, and he was saying about bands like Paris Monster, who are amazing. Everyone should check them out. And his favorite band of all time, Radiohead. How about that?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, top chap. And I know, Yoad, you've got the... You got the Rev 2. You bought our X review Rev. Was it Rev 2? Yeah, Rev 2, which I know you're very keen on. So he does some great stuff.
Yeah, I like it. I used to have the Tetra before. I used to have 2 units to give me 8 voices, and I'm not sure that I'm not preferring the sound of the Tetra. There was something kind of beefier about it. Synthesis-wise, the Rev 2 is really nice, and I also use it as a controller for Omnisphere, which is really a very, very nice experience.
With the hardware
so many controllers on that. Yeah, good call. Yeah, I don't know. Have you got any Dave Smith stuff there, Charles?
I've got a Rev 2. I love it.
Excellent. Rev 2 seems to
like
be
that. That and my Hydrasynth would make a nice little stack.
Oh yeah, how are you getting on with the Hydrasynth? They're still coming, and people are still posting in the Facebook Hydrasynth group again. Mine arrived yesterday, so they're still coming through. So
I love that thing, man. I love that. I'm working on a new track, which I just have up there on the computer now, and I originally had like just piano, just pedaling some chords through this thing, and then like the first sound that opens up on there. Saw Presser or whatever it is. I forgot. They're very, A001, whatever that preset is. I just put that on there. It's the perfect sound. It's the perfect sound for what I'm doing.
That first one is a very simple sawtooth with very nice aftertouch control, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's very beautiful sounding. It sounds, it's the most CS80-ish type sound that's on that, I think. I love it. I love the sound of that. I'm a big CS80 fan. So, but then again, who isn't? So.
Yeah, a lot of people are. A lot of people are, and just not many people can get a hold of one. But excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gaz.
That could be another topic as well, couldn't it? You know, the greatest number one patch on the first one that everyone's greeted to, because Universe on the M1 was an astonishing experience at the time, wasn't it? Do you remember?
Ubiquitous, yeah.
Yeah, but it was a jaw-dropping experience, wasn't it? It was just like, well, I mean, it was for me at the time. I just could not believe it when, and it was, I felt like the future.
Yeah, but did you play with the steel drums on it, though?
Good shout. Yeah, we're still waiting. Actually, we're very disappointed. We haven't had any patch examples. People are supposed to be sending in some patch examples.
Worst ever patches.
Yeah, and while I remember, I totally forgot, and this is really a miss of me because we're organising this thing the whole time. This super booth at home is going ahead. We're still trying to get people to kind of commit to doing videos and coming along and showing us their products virtually. They're starting to happen, but I should have put this at the beginning of the whole thing because people might not watch all the way through. But if you are thinking about it, there is no charge for this. We're going to get as many done as we can to go out during the Super Booth weekend. So we've only got a limited amount of time left, and each one will probably need a bit of a tech check to make sure that the cameras and stuff and the audio routing works. But if you're making something, you were going to be at Super Booth, you've got a product that you want to announce, get in touch. We'll use the sonicshows@sonicstate.com email address, and we will do our best to fit you in and try and get something shot. We've started shooting. It's going to work. It's just, we need everybody to kind of step up and just go, okay, right, I'm ready, and so, and you can go to, I've made as I said, we made this document, which is the Super Booth at, we are calling it QSonic / I think we'd probably just go with Super Booth, to be honest. But it's bit.ly/remote vid, one word, and that'll take you to this document, which will just give you a kind of insight into the sort of tech you might need and how it might set up. So please do that. We're gagging to get more people in. I mean, it may be that we have to sort of long tail it a little bit, and it doesn't all happen in those 3 days. But we're doing our best to get as much in as we possibly can. So do get in touch. We need more people. Gosh, I think we're probably at the time when it's time to say goodbye because we're there. So we didn't get through quite everything, which is good because it's always good to have more topics than you need, especially when there's no news. That's excellent. But all you folks, stay safe out there. Do what you're supposed to do, and be sensible. And we'll get through this much quicker if everybody stays at home and kind of isolates. So please do, and use your time wisely or unwisely, however you feel is best spent. There's no pressure. Charles, thank you so much for joining us. Been a pleasure to have you, and thank you for joining us. We will see you again very soon.
Lovely to be here. Lovely to be here.
And also, Mr. Yoad Nebo, thanks for joining us as well. We'll have some content for you coming on. You're always welcome. And also, Mr. Gaz Williams, thank you very much. You've got a couple of things coming up for review with us, so we'll see those in soon.
Some exciting, cool things. Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Be safe, everyone.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much. We'll just press the Celebrity Squares button, and we'll sail off into the sunset underneath the usual jingle. See you all later. Thanks for watching. See you next time.